Good evening, everyone. We're back again with another episode of Agri Business Now. I would like to thank everyone who made a special effort to join us tonight, and to those persons joining us for the first time, I hope that you'll enjoy this program. This evening, we will continue to advise you on the Agricultural Produce and Livestock Act of 2007, a national quality policy and private stakeholders consultation launched here recently. And AGRICOM launched the first call for business idea profiles proposals. We also have the How to Do segment along with the news and announcements. Please stay tuned. Agri Business Now will be right back.
Did you know that the OECS Agriculture Competitiveness Project, otherwise known as AGRICOM project, has been officially launched?
Well, it was. And the project aims at enhancing access to markets and sales for competitively selected farmers and fisher folks.
But to access funds, you must be part of a productive alliance.
So what is a productive alliance, you ask? It's a business arrangement between farmers and or fisher folks on one hand, and on the other hand, aggregators. Aggregators can be cooperatives, lead farmers, or marketers and agro-processors.
The project provides matching grants to a productive alliance. A minimum of 10 farmers or fishers and an aggregator, such as a lead farmer, a cooperative, marketer, or an agro-processor.
Farmers and fisher folk in Productive Alliance can receive up to $8,000, while the aggregator, lead farmer or fisher, cooperative, marketer, or agro-processor can receive up to $120,000. For more information, please contact Ministry of Agriculture, Richmond Hill at 456-1410 or 456-1111, extension 311 or 321, or email agricomsvg@mail.gov.vc.
On our first segment of the program, we will continue on our journey, sensitizing you more about the Agricultural Produce and Livestock Act of 2007. Mr. Noel Bruce, Legal Advisor to the Farmer Support Company Limited, has been assisting us with that.
Today, I want to take us back to Section 3 of the Act. Now we have dealt with the farmer's ID, farmer's registration, and those issues that touch and concern the farmer. Today we have gone back to Section 3, and Section 3 deals with the registration as a seller of agricultural produce or livestock. And Section 3, subsection 1 states, this section does not apply to a person who has been registered as a farmer and issued with a valid farmer's registration card by the minister. So these things I will talk about in a moment are for persons who are not a registered farmer, or a farmer who has registered and have been issued with a farmer's ID. Now subsection 2 states, a person who sells or otherwise disposes of agricultural produce or livestock of the value or weight prescribed in Schedule 1 shall be registered in the manner provided in this section. Subsection 3, an application for registration or renewal of registration under this section shall be made to the minister and be in the form and contain and be accompanied by information required by the minister and be accompanied by such fee as the minister may prescribe. Let me take us back to Schedule 1 as mentioned in this section. Schedule 1, the value or weight of agricultural produce or livestock. 1. Agricultural produce of the value of $50 or more, or of the weight of 5 kilograms or more, and livestock of the value of $50 or more, or of the weight of 5 kilograms or more. Now, this is simply saying, if you dispose or sell agricultural produce or livestock, and the agricultural produce and or livestock that you are selling, once it costs more than $50, or the aggregate of whatever you are selling weighs more than 5 kilograms, which is about 10 pounds or more, then according to the Act, the Agricultural Produce and Livestock Prevention of Theft Act, you ought to be registered in a manner that is prescribed by the minister. Now, this means that if you are a vendor and this section applies to you, you ought to be registered as a vendor or as a person who disposes of agricultural produce or livestock. If you are a company, you are a registered company or you are a registered group, you ought to be registered under this section. Now, on registration, you will be issued with a certificate of registration, providing that you have met the requirements of the registration process. Now, in a subsequent program, we will highlight for you the necessary documentations, the necessary issues that needs to be addressed, and the procedure for obtaining of a vendor certificate of registration. Now, mind you, these requirements may be different, or they may differ to those of farmers who are registering for this program. What you ought to do, if you are unsure, you can come to the Ministry of Agriculture and ask for the farmer's identification card section, and you will be guided accordingly. But as I have pointed out, that in a subsequent program, we will inform you of those measures, those procedures, the documentation, and the necessary things that you will need in order to become a registered vendor or a registered person or group under this Act.
On Wednesday, 12th June 2019, there was an official launch of the National Quality Policy and Private Stakeholders Consultation, which was held at the Fisheries Division Conference Room. Here is Najanka Johnson of the Communications Unit with more.
On Wednesday the 12th of June 2019, there was an official launch of the National Quality Policy and Private Stakeholders Consultation, which was held at the Fisheries Division Conference Room. The Ministry of Agriculture is responsible for establishing policies for the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Bureau of Standards and has the responsibility for the National Standards Council. Present was the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Agriculture, Mr. Raymond Ryan, where he explained the aim of the National Quality Policy.
The intent of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Social and Economic Development Plan 2013 to 2025 is to position St. Vincent and the Grenadines to become a competitive economy by 2020, and to stimulate St. Vincent and the Grenadines' growth, economic growth, and launch the country on a path of sustained and rapid economic development. Additionally, in the era of rapidly growing international trade and overall globalization, coupled with increasing consumer expectation, market entries require compliance to international standards and evidence of such compliance through internationally recognized accreditation systems of conformity assessment bodies. This requires strengthening and, where needed, establishment of an internationally recognized infrastructure of accreditation and conformity assessment. St. Vincent and the Grenadines cannot be left behind in this globalized economy. Therefore, the aim of the national quality policy of St. Vincent and the Grenadines is to strengthen the national quality infrastructure in order to achieve accelerated growth, increase in exports, ensure supply of safe, quality products at competitive prices, and contribute to the protection of the environment. The policy will provide support for the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Bureau of Standards to create, promote, and maintain a national quality infrastructure on the pillars of standards, quality assurance, and metrology.
Dr. Colleen Phillips, FAO's national correspondent to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, highlighted some of the duties and responsibilities of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Bureau of Standards.
Very often we find that the general public are yet to really understand what our responsibilities are, and pretty often we are bombarded with issues of consumer affair related issues, environmental related issues, and truth be told, this particular endeavor, this particular exercise is really required because over the years we have acknowledged that there is definitely a need for us to revisit our national quality policy. There is definitely a need, and I'm excited. I welcomed, if we must say, and we are hoping that after this particular exercise and upon the establishment of this national policy, we are going to be able to, have the necessary legislation to facilitate the bite that the Bureau of Standards require to efficiently execute their duties. Very often we find that as much as we would love to take charge of certain activities, it's really not possible because the act that governs that particular bit of activity is under a different body, and very often our hands are tied. We are the watchdogs of standards, and in standards, of course, we know we are governed by 4 pillars. We are governed by the actual standard of setting standards for the processes and for the services and for the products that are made available to our people and for the products that we export and for the products that come in. But we are also responsible for issues of quality assurance. Of course, under that, we have the certification issues, and we are responsible for metrology. I would tell you we are strongest in metrology, and that is because we have an act that governs that particular concept. And it is pretty much only through that act we can really bite if we need to ensure that things are in place.
Mr. Charles Barker of the Commonwealth Standard Network project of St. Lucia and Caribbean Workstream gave an overview of the project.
The CSN, which is a Commonwealth Standards Network, is a 4-legged project. So it is for the Caribbean, and it is as well for Africa. We're doing the similar work in Tanzania and in Zambia, and it's as well for Oceania. We're doing similar work in Vanuatu, which is another small island in the South Pacific, and Papua New Guinea. And then there is the overall, umbrella, which is actually the Commonwealth Standards Network, that all national standards bodies, which are members of the Commonwealth, will have a website in which they can actually exchange information. They will put all the standards up, etc., so that they can actually then understand what each of the markets has requirements for. This is being developed by BSI in London. Now, with regards to our project, this project is the main beneficiary, as I said, is St. Lucia. So I live in St. Lucia, and I've been already there for a year. And we are looking at 6 components, which are basically the elements of the national quality infrastructure. The policy issues and the setting up of an oversight committee, because a policy is an ongoing document, that needs to be changed in accordance to the circumstances and how these circumstances change. We are looking into a legal approximation, because if you have a new policy or a policy that encompasses all the elements, maybe you need to change your laws, Standards Act, etc., to reflect the new policy. We are looking at the standardization, and we are looking as well at conformity assessment. We are looking at metrology. We're not looking at market surveillance, because the three objectives of this project are: number one, increase intra-Commonwealth trade through the adoption of international standards. That's one of the main objectives. The second objective is to strengthen the national quality infrastructure. And the third objective is to raise awareness of standards. How standards, what's the value of standards? Now, a little clarification. When I say standards, I mean voluntary standards. I don't mean technical regulations, which for you is a compulsory standard. So every time you hear me speak and I say standard, it's only voluntary international standards or national standards. Right. And so we are doing all this work, and we are trying as well to expand this work. So we have done training on issues like metrology already, in issues of just recently on 17025, ISO IC 17025, which is laboratories, and for medical laboratories in ISO 15189. And we always invite, through the cross-queue mechanism of the video conferencing, we always invite all of the Caribbean AGRICOM member states to attend these meetings through the video conferencing. We will be having in the near future, actually within 2 weeks, we will be having a training on good regulatory practice and regulatory impact assessments, which is related to legal approximation.
Dr. Michael Peet, International Export Commonwealth Standard Network NQI component, gave a background of his experience on how it will help with his new development.
I was part of the South African Department of Trade and Industry in 1995, when we suddenly had a whole new world that wanted to engage with us. And the government realized that the way to actively engage and protect the best interests of the country with all this foreign help was to make the quality infrastructure a strategic component and make it almost a strategic weapon. And so we focused under our minister on quality infrastructure, being metrology, the first pillar. That helped us to get credibility for our testing. The calibration also then helped with both those components to build infrastructure in our inspection activities. And then we also then moved on to credible certification. That gave us international recognition ahead of the rest of the world with Europe very, very quickly. And we learned a lot of lessons, good and bad, in that. And I hope that I can bring some of that experience to bear and to assist you in that as well. I then worked with the United Nations, and I was part of the United Nations framework on climate change. And so I know the strategic development goals that we all need to comply to, and the role of quality infrastructure in sustaining those as well. And so all of those inputs, hopefully I can assist you with as you start to develop this quality policy to address the needs that this country has.
The Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry, Fisheries, Rural Transformation, Industry and Labour is implementing the OECS Regional Agricultural Competitiveness Project, better known as AGRICOM, and has launched the first call for business idea profiles proposals. Mr. Conroy Huggins is AGRICOM's project coordinator.
The project was launched just about a year ago, and a lot of work has been going on in the background. We have hosted several sensitization meetings early last year. The middle of last year, June 2018, we held a business roundtable, which kind of, explain to the stakeholders and give them more information in relation to the project. Critical to the implementation of the project is the call for proposal. We have just launched the call for proposal, call for business ideas, business idea profiles, and that call was launched last Friday, the 28th of June. And this call will go right up to the end of August, Friday the 30th of August. Farmers, fishers, marketers, agro-processors, they can look, the newspapers last week, they were published in all 3 local newspapers. They can check the papers and get the essential information there, and can follow up with the Ministry of Agriculture, where they could get copies of the essential documents. They can also get that information online on the government's website. And there are other supporting documents that can be had on the government's website also. The call essentially focuses in 7 key areas. However, other areas can be added. Fisheries, harvesting, processing and marketing. We're looking at production and export of fresh fruits, root crops, vegetables, value-added products, coconut production. Those are some of the value chains that persons can work with. Cocoa, coffee, spices, cattle, small ruminants, slaughtering, processing, marketing. In terms of poultry, we have broilers, layers, egg production, processing and marketing, and cut flowers. If persons want to do an area outside of those, they can also do that. It has the ability to be a game changer in the agricultural sector. We are looking to see increased sales in produce, both locally and regionally and extra-regionally as a result of the project. And we anticipate in the long run that there will be great sustainability as a result of its implementation. Additional information can be had at the Ministry of Agriculture and through the communications units on the websites, the various websites. The information is going to be made available. And today we're in a global village, so all information is online, and persons can interface and interact with us as they so need.
On today's How to Do segment, we will take you through the procedure for the exportation of agricultural produce.
Here now are the requirements for produce being presented for exportation. Maturity. Fruits should be at a mature stage to promote even ripening. Cleanliness. The produce should be free from soil, pest and chemical residue. Damage. Agriculture produce that shows visual signs of mechanical damage, pest injuries, blemishes and bruise should be omitted, as these do not meet the exportation standard and may contribute to spoilage of the consignment. Stalk. Stalk should be neatly trimmed and not broken out to avoid insect pests from burrowing into the hollowed area from where the stalk was removed. Overpacking. Packages should be neatly packed at a level that does not facilitate produce to be easily bruised or crushed during shipment. Packages should contain one type of agricultural produce. This is in keeping with the phytosanitary rules for that particular crop, and it also helps to prevent cross-infestation in any given situation. All packages should be labeled with a distinguished mark or the shipper's number. Remember that the selection of wholesome matured fruits, free from mechanical damage, pest injuries and infestation, properly packaged and transported, ensure that the produce reaches the importer in a desired manner.
Here are the news and announcements.
The government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines has received a loan of US $4.3 million from the World Bank for the implementation of the OECS Regional Agricultural Competitiveness Project, AGRICOM. The project objective is to enhance access to markets and sales for selected farmers and fishers, as well as aggregators and agri-processors. AGRICOM is hereby inviting eligible fishers or farmers as product supplying partners in collaboration with aggregators or agri-processors, which can be producer organizations or private micro, small or medium enterprises, as buying counterparts, to submit business idea profiles. This call is open for business idea profiles for agriculture, livestock, fisheries, and agro-products. Interested aggregators or agro-processors and farmers or fishers can obtain the business idea profile template and the user guide for the preparation of the business idea profiles on the Ministry of Agriculture AGRICOM website www.gov.vc. Hard copies of these documents can be obtained from the AGRICOM Project Implementation Unit Office, Ministry of Agriculture, Richmond Hill, Kingstown, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, at telephone number 4561410. Business idea profiles template must be submitted in both hard copy and electronic form, along with supporting documents in a sealed envelope clearly marked AGRICOM Business Idea Profile. Addressed to Project Coordinator, AGRICOM Project, Ministry of Agriculture, Richmond Hill, Kingstown. Proposals must be submitted within 50 days of the issuing of this call. Accordingly, business idea profiles will be accepted from Friday, June 28, 2019 to Friday, August 30th, 2019 at 3 p.m.
We are at the end of another program. I hope that you enjoyed it. For more information, feel free to contact us at the Communications Unit within the Ministry of Agriculture at 456-1111, extension 312 or 472, or email us at citumaf2@hotmail.com. Remember, you can view more of Agri Business Now programs on our YouTube channel, Agri Business Now St. Vincent, or like our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/agribusinessnow to get more updates. Until next time, I am your host, Nikita Samuel. Thank you for viewing and do have yourself a wonderful night.